Hello, Mike. Hello, Tim.
Hey, Joanna.
Hey.
Today we are going to look at the team development cycle. And what the team development cycle is doing is confronting individuals, groups, and teams with their own perceptions of quality and performance. The model you are seeing on the screen is a model developed by Bruce Tuckman in the 60s. It is still used today to understand the stages teams go through to get to productivity, performance, and results. Now we'll start from the beginning and we'll look at an equation there which says 1 + 1 = 3. And I'm really curious if this is just bad math or what is it about? Tim, tell us more.
It is bad maths, and it represents the ideal world of team development. And so this is like the nirvana, if you like, of what good teamwork should be about. And it's based on the fact that back when Bruce Tuckman was developing this, there was a concept in play called the high-performing team. And the high-performing team was a thing that gained a huge amount of attention and traction. But the sum there, 1 + 1 = 3, means that the idea of team is that more than the sum of its parts is always the goal. But I'll just, be very blatantly honest from my opinion about this. I believe that it's extremely difficult to achieve this goal, and that it's way, way easier to achieve this goal if you set your sights not at teams of 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 people, but at teams of 2 people. So looking at your team or looking at the teams within your organization from a pair work perspective rather than a larger team perspective. And at the beginning, you mentioned, the purpose of this model is to confront teams with their level of performance. And that word confront is, for me, very, very important. The majority of teams don't come to terms with this or differentiate themselves against this topic. So the topic of performance is one that is kind of people let it sleep too often, too much, because most organizations are not run to a teamwork model in any way, shape, or form. They are run according to a system and model of individual contribution. Everybody does their own work on their own, and the relationship between lead and worker is one of, I do my work and then I produce it and deliver it to you, and you say, thanks very much, could be improved, or good job. And that's the relationship. And that's the one that this model attempts to break down.
Tim, I just want to jump back to one thing you mentioned there, which is this question of how many people are in a team. Now, many people watching this may have heard that 7 is somehow the magic number. So how do you see that in terms of the kind of perfect team size, and how does it relate to the team development cycle?
Well, the theory definitely goes that the number 7 is the ideal number for a team, because 7 people can have a conversation in an hour where each person can express their opinion for 5 minutes, and then each person has got 3 minutes to discuss somebody else's opinion, which means everybody can speak and discuss the points of view and put them on the table within a 1-hour meeting. Apparently, that was the original reason why the number 7 was chosen as being the ideal number. Plus the fact that the odd number means that there is, if 3 people agree on position A, 3 people agree on position B, then the 7th person can swing the vote in one direction or another. And so that was the background for that number. Certainly 8 people, 9, 10, 11, 12, for sure, you can have teams that are that size as well, but the communication gets more challenging. And a lot of people with experiences of high-performing teams will often say, we were a team of 3 or 4 or 5, and less than that number. So that's where the background of that comes from.
Right. So why don't we look a little bit at the stages of the team development cycle? We're going to start with the first stage, the forming stage. And this is the stage where people are polite, they're cautiously distant, they're more formal, and they usually show what they consider to be their best side. Because this is the time where they're getting to know each other's strengths and weaknesses, capabilities, skills, and they're creating job descriptions and role definitions. So once the team is formed, it's very much like an initial interaction where people think, am I behaving in the expected way? How do these people perceive me? How do they relate to me? And the leader's role in this stage is to establish and promote functioning rules for the team and involving the team in creating and taking ownership of common goals. Now, as a leader, you can facilitate this process by going for a beer or having a barbecue or planning extracurricular activities or just, setting up a coffee time for all the people in the team to meet and have a good time. What about the second stage, Mike?
Yeah, so this first stage, the forming stage, we can maybe describe it as being quite harmonious. Everybody's probably getting along and being really polite and friendly and showing how nice they are and, oh yeah, we're a team, let's get together. And that's lovely. And in the end of the process, we want to get back to that stage where people can work really well together. The risk can be that people can be so afraid of discourse, so afraid of disagreement that everybody falls into line. They just say yes, and there is no real open discussion about the direction of the team, the roles, and all this kind of thing. So the second stage is called the storming stage, and this is where we want to bring out all of those maybe slightly more difficult areas of the team development process. So in this stage, you want to start kind of figuring out your position. You want to figure out your kind of side of the discussion. Oftentimes people will pair off a little bit in this process. So if you find somebody that you really align with, maybe there'll be mini teams within the teams where they'll be working on certain things just as a two. And it's as a leader, there's two key aspects here. The first aspect is you want to control the discourse and the disagreement and the discussion, because of course it has to be constructive, but you want to promote it. You don't want to avoid it. You don't want to push down any sharing of opinions. You actually need to be the person that creates an environment where people can disagree with each other, where people can discuss things. Of course, it's called storming. You can absolutely stick the word brain to the beginning of that to say brainstorming, which is a great process to go through in this stage, where you give people a real open field to discuss and share their ideas in a non-judgmental way. So the team's been formed. We've gone through the storming stage now, where all these ideas have been put onto the table. And Joanna, we then move into stage 3, which is the norming stage.
So the norming stage, it is called norming because there is a norm or a standard that is established in the team. And this is the stage where values are defined, feedback process and rules are put in place, standards are set to achieve results, and team members contribute to the maintenance of balance and harmony within the team. They create ideas that can be tested. So storming has to happen, even if it happens between two very nice people. Because one person will give in with the desire of moving forward and they will create a norm and they will get started with that. And this movement from storming to norming and back again is a critical one. And this is one of the major values that the lead can bring to their team, showing them this is natural. There will be fight, there will be argue and discussion. But then good thing about it is that we will always come up with a prototype. This zigzag will define the way the team is performing. And the role of the leader in this stage is maintaining communication channels open, coordinating the team, and maybe implementing new decision-making models based on what they have observed happening within the team. What can you tell us about the performing stage, Mike?
Well, what can you say about the performing stage? This is the stage, of course, that every team wants to get to, hopes to reach. And this is the stage where every part of this team, every member, every process has been optimized. So every person knows their role. Every person knows the kind of best process because you've stormed out all of the ideas and then you've prototyped them in the norming process. You've found the best solution. You found the best process. You found the best role distribution. And now you're at the point of implementing it and seeing results. So as the leader in this position, you're allowing a level of autonomy. So you've empowered your people. You know that they know their role. They know what they need to do. You've created potentially an overlap where somebody can step in for another person to avoid any kind of collapse of this structure due to any absence or anything like that. And you're monitoring. So this is a stage where maybe the leader is slightly more observing because they've gone through the process and put the team where they need to be to really create those results and successes. A word that we can use for the performing stage is flow. This is where the team is in flow. I think we all understand what that feels like. It feels so positive. It feels like you're so aligned and it feels like everything is moving as it should. And the only real way to get there is to go through this stage first. Now, Tim, we've looked at the 4 stages of the team development cycle, and if we create a new team today with all new people, then maybe the team moves through it together. But what's important to highlight is that most teams don't work like that. You know, most teams, you have an existing team. Somebody leaves, somebody joins, the team changes and reshuffles. So maybe you can tell us a little bit about how that kind of team goes through the team development cycle, Tim.
Sure. So you have a new person or 2 new people coming into your team. They obviously begin in the forming stage because they haven't had the opportunity to get to know everybody. And they pull everybody else back to the storming stage because they question everything that has gone before. And so it's actually a good example of illustrating the fact that, you know, although the model is very clear, the model actually doesn't exist at all. There are no lines associated with it. And it's just a very interesting psychological picture that we put on a group of people in order to understand where they are relative to this big goal, which is a really productive group of people. And so, yeah, it's like different people in the team will have different interpretations of it. And that's one of the things I like about it a lot, is that everybody's opinion is different. Everybody will think they're in a different stage at any one given stage. And for each of the different topics on the table, everybody will have, you know, a different perception of where they are. One topic, they'll all agree that they're in the norming to performing area, but another topic, they'll all agree that they're in storming. And topic 3, half of them will think one thing and half of them will think the other.